Welcome, everyone, to All Growth Podcast. I'm your host, Alvaro Gamboa, and from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out to be here with us in this space and time, wherever you are joining us. It brings me great joy to bring you the first of many episodes. With it being the first episode, I figure why not the best thing be introduce your host, who he is and what he's about. I'm Alvaro Gamboa. A little bit about myself. I am Latin American. My father is Colombian. My mother is Nicaraguan. Both born in their respective countries. Immigrated to these United States in 1977, 1985. Now, with my father being Colombian and my mother being Nicaraguan, it gives me a South American and a Central American lens to view the world. And I'm grateful for that because I can understand the plight of someone that's South American and someone that's Central American. However different someone may try to paint it, whether they think that someone from this South American country has it harder than someone this Central American country, that the story is no matter how disconnected they might try to make it, it's all interconnected. It's the same struggle, whether you like to believe it or not. About me, my hometown, I'm born and raised in the county of Dade, 305 representative, Miami, Florida. Huge shout out to all my Miami supporters. Huge shout out to all my Miami Day ones. This podcast, I wouldn't be here without your help, without your guidance. So thank you for that. Y'all know who you are. I was here for 18 years. Born in Miami, went to school in Miami, grew up in Miami, and did everything in Miami for about 18 years. And through that, I realized, you know what? Looking back at it, hindsight, I had so many experiences with people from so many different backgrounds, right? I loved being able to go to American Senior High School, shout out to the Patriots, shout out, to go to American Senior High School, be in Miami and have people from practically every different kind of background. You have our Haitian brothers and sisters, Sakpase, Nabule, you already know, to be able to then go from that culture to then go into someone that's Venezuelano or El Salvadoreño, to be able to merge, go in and out and weave through all those cultures and be accepted into these spaces. I'm very grateful for, and I've picked up so much wisdom from being in so many different areas and avenues. I figure why not share it with y'all. Now after 18 though, I will say I did not give a fuck about Miami. All right, I did not give a two shits because I was tired. All right, it is a sunshine state with shady people, and I was fed up. So I figured after 18, I was like, where am I gonna go? What's the next move? And I looked and I was like, you know what? I think the next move is gonna be New York, and I did it. I moved to New York. I moved to New York at the age of 18. I've been up there ever since, and boy, what a culture shock. All right, what a culture shock it is. The thing about Miami and New York is it's such a different speed or velocity, intensity that people move with that is unparalleled. In Miami, I would always get comments that I don't really know how to chill. I really know how to vibe. Miami is very much more of a chill aesthetic, very chill, very laid back, go with the flow type of vibe. You know, the sea breeze is gonna keep us chill while we're in the shade, and that's not me. Just not. All right, I'm getting to know myself more and more and becoming that person. When I moved to New York, the culture shock was instantaneous, I'll tell you that much. Riding the train, having to go to class and then work and then try to keep a social life together. Everyone in New York is always moving and grooving. All right, the New York Minute is an absolute real thing, and with that experience I learned that speed really isn't for me. I've found for myself a nice healthy middle. I've picked pieces and bits and pieces of those cultures and that mentality that worked for me, and I'm finding a good balance with myself. One thing I am proud of is that I do have an education. I am college graduated, the first in my immediate family to earn a degree. Shout out the alma mater, go Setters. But I am college educated, and it's not the pieces of paper that I'm the happiest about. It's the fact that I made it, despite everything and every obstacle that's set against black and brown people in today's day and age in America. I made it, and I'm one of the few to make it, so I'm proud to say that. The real thing about it is that this education, it taught me to love learning, to be curious, to accept curiosity, to embrace it, to understand that you don't understand a lot, and what you do understand, you don't understand it entirely. So I've become curious again. I learned to love learning, if that sounds corny and cliche. Just being educated in the classroom, being educated in the streets, having to pick up experiences as you go, while you grind, while you hustle. I've learned a lot, and I figure it's my time to share it with you all because knowledge is meant to be shared and not stored. Here at All Growth, we work and operate with a set of certain beliefs. And what we do know is that for far too long, there's been an addiction to getting bad news. In the American economy, in the culture of breaking news, in the culture of 24-hour news channels and breaking op-eds and this just ends, like, we don't need that, all right? Those are all distractions, and they've been made by warmongers and fearmongers. These are some big words I'm tossing your way, but let's get to them. Warmongers and fearmongers, people that use fear, paranoia, anxiety, stress, all of those to keep us oppressed, to keep us unaware, to keep us distracted, while they're off doing devastating damage to society that many think is irreversible, but I happen to think it is reversible. With that fear, you're frozen in fear, you're frozen in disbelief, you don't know what to do, you don't know what to think. That's exactly where they want you. Here at All Growth, the way we operate, the way we move, is that we don't pay attention to anything negative, and it's intentional. I don't mean like we ignore, I don't mean that we put it off to the side. What we do is we come to understand that anything negative is meant to distract us and keep us away from the main goal, which is growth. Simple as that. I try to stay away from everything that is not growth oriented, including mindsets, because not too many people try to shed light on things. Not too many people try to go out into the sun in this day and age. We're told to stay in our house, stay in our Play-Doh cave. We're told to stay away from the light, and that is not good. That is not natural. As you can see, we're out here in nature. So if you've been hearing the birds and the cars moving by, please either ignore them or embrace them, whichever floats your boat. All right, just reminders from the universe that we're not the only things on this planet, okay? And the thing about that is that when you're in the darkness, you crave light, you want it, you need it, you crave it so much you're drawn to things that appear to be that, which in Plato's cave is fire. And with that, like, people see the shadows on the walls and they think that they're actual things, but you need to understand is that they're illusions. Basically, here at All Growth, we try to shed light, put sun on topics that haven't been discussed, haven't been seen, understood, haven't been dissected enough for us to understand. So because of that, I shed light on it. And not only am I giving you light, not only am I giving you sun of the light of truth to work with, but I'm also giving you the water of knowledge. Because knowledge, man, it's the ultimate power. It really is. And once you understand that, and you can use those two components of trying to understand the truth of things, expose things to the light, and then also giving it water to grow. Now, water is that knowledge which grows and grows as you move. You put those things together, you're bound to grow. It's just inevitable at that point. Something that I have picked up to understand and realize is that the world has a Eurocentric view, which I don't agree with. Now, the Eurocentric view is the belief that anything European is at the center of the world and the center of high ideals, and that is the bar, that is the standard that everyone else should try to strive towards. And that's not me. I just know that. I'm grateful that I have had the education that I've had, because I understand Eurocentricity throughout the multitudes of canons. There's Eurocentricity in your literature, in your media, on your TV, and in movies, in your music, what you hear, what you see, right? It's everywhere. And if you don't believe in Eurocentricity, fine, it's okay. But just know that colorism exists because of that. Just know that the way things are in this world because of Eurocentricity exists because of that. I'm supposed to hold you up to a higher standard because you have white skin? That's a fallacy. It's bullshit. Sorry for my language. Now, what I tend to prescribe myself to is a Latin-centric and an Afrocentric view. Latin-centric view just means that I put my Spanish people first. I put the experiences and the creations of my peoples into one. Because of my Latin-centric view, I understand South American, Central American peoples better. I understand Latin America better, and I choose that intentionally. Another philosophy and a mentality of mine is the Afrocentric views, which means essentially the Afrocentricity is the belief of anything African should be at the center of it, right? Which is putting black people first, which is important because they're often put, as we've seen in 2020, dead last. Someone that has an Afrocentric view, someone that has a Latin-centric view is a danger to society, is a danger to the people around them, because they can shatter these Eurocentric views that take hold of us every day. Instead of looking for and seeing things that white people and Europeans have labeled as beautiful, they go towards things that black and brown people have labeled beautiful. Off the rip, you're changing the narrative. which is what we're here to do. Funny thing is, what I'm here to do is I'm here to provide insight and perspective on things that have not been discussed, have not been understood. Because of the fact that we don't understand these things, it's made us better sheep, basically, and that's not what I'm here for. You know what I'm saying? So please bear in mind with me on that. If I could provide an analogy, what I'm here to do is I'm here to go ahead and take up the rug, roll it up, and sweep all that's been swept underneath. I'm here to sweep up everything that's been under the rug. Take out every skeleton that's in the closet in order to build more space, to create more space for us to live. Can you imagine what a world would look like if we didn't have a rug to sweep anything under? Can you imagine what would happen in America if no one had a closet to pile skeletons in? That's what we need to be doing. And that's what 2020 is here for. I'm telling you, man, 2020 is a wonderful thing, telling us and showing us what we need to be looking at instead. So that's what I'm here for. What I ultimately hope to do is I hope to provide us with the tools for our tool belts. Tools that are needed for us to address these topics with understanding, with confidence, with embrace, and with wisdom. For us to be able to take these tool belts with us wherever we go, so we can dismantle everything that is set up against us. I'm hoping to give language and context to eccentric ways of thinking about taboo topics, or the fact that we're even able to talk about quote-unquote taboo topics. And let's just stop right there and say what taboo topics are. Like, taboo topics in its essence, when someone says something is taboo or that's not to be discussed, it's A, because they don't have the time to discuss it, and B, because they don't have the energy to discuss it. And that's just downright lazy. Nothing is taboo, just no one wants to talk about it because it makes them uncomfortable. America has created a culture of convenience that we just can't stand for, dog. Something that I've already done here today, even prior to today, besides getting you here to listen, which thank you again, is I've gone through my own journey in life. I've gone through my own journey in life that has led me to many broken dead ends, many sketchy, bougie cul-de-sacs, and I've seen it all. Honestly, I've seen so many ways of living. In being lost and confused and going through my own journey, I found that I've been consumed by the beast that is America, only to be chewed up and spit out. And I'm not alone in that. It took me a while to realize I'm not alone in that. This is the system that has been designed. A lot of people say this system is broken. Nah, this system is rigged and working perfectly just fine. Hopefully we see that together. Now, I've gone through, I like to think of, in my own journey, I've gone a long way, and I've gone through a fog of lost souls, and I found myself, and because I found myself, I'm here with you today, and you're here with me now. I've seen so many people lost in my journeys that I'm here to set everyone free, to give liberation in its ultimate form, which is liberation of the mind. Now, being that this is the first episode, we have some tending to do. We have some things that need tending. I'd like for us in the first episode to tend to our soil and our soul in building a foundation. Because we're building this foundation, it's important to note that we ask ourselves important questions about our soil. Is our soil, is it nourishing? Is it nurturing? Is our soil something that we could build a strong foundation on? What are we planting for on our soil? What are we planting on? These are questions that we need to ask to tend to our soil. People ask, what is tending to our soil? Well, tending to our soil essentially is asking ourselves very important questions for both our physical and our spiritual soil. When we're asking these questions, we're going to ask, what are we planting on? Is this soil good enough for us to build a strong foundation on? Is it nourishing? Is it nurturing? Is this soil something that will help me in the future? Or will the fact that I've built on this land keep me from progress and keep me from growth? People ask, well, what is that? I mean, what is tending our soil? It's a strange concept. Not many of us are farmers or gardeners, so that's okay. And I'll break it down for you. We could take this modern farming technique and we could apply it to our own lives. We could apply it to ourselves. And what I mean by applying it to ourselves is applying it to our everyday lives. When we say we're applying it to our lives, we think about our spiritual soil. Think about it. Like, are we living on a fertile soil? Like, are we living on a strong foundation of morals and values for our soil, which is what we build? Are all of our soil being used properly, or is there some part of our soil that is dead space or wasted space? It's underutilized, inefficient, things like that. Are we tending to our soil naturally, allowing for nature and the universe to work the magic that is? Or are we insistent on using pesticides, herbicides, and chemicals, to do damage to our soil, to do damage to the fruits of our labors? Is that something that we want? For what? with the hopes of getting an edge on the competition and getting an edge on Mother Nature, getting an edge on your own growth. It's not organic, dog. Not with it. Now, when we talk about our soul, like, people take that spiritual aspect into it, tending to our spiritual soil and our soul. So, like, are we taking an honest, objective look at what we have to offer? Are we working towards our soul's purpose in life? Are we doing the things that our spirit is pulling us towards? Or are we doing the things that our spirit retracts from? Like, our spirit hates, our spirit does not like these things. A lot of the times is what leads people to live terrible lives. It's what leads people to, use and abuse drugs and whatever other unhealthy coping mechanisms you could think of for that very sake, And I like to read you this quote that I found. But people are really like the soil too. We need tending, both of ourselves and each other. We need nurturing, sustenance, and a healthy community. We need variety and diversity. We need to be turned on occasion in a new direction, and to be open to rain and sun, water and light, and to welcome the chance to in turn nurture seeds of ideas and initiatives buried deep or newly planted. And I found that quote, and it essentially captures everything that I've been going the past couple of years in a nice little quaint quote. On occasion, I've been turned towards new directions. I found things that I didn't like or that didn't like me, and that's okay, because rejection really is a redirection. When you get rejected by something, it's a redirection into what is for you, what is meant for you. So don't be scared of it. Embrace it. You have to embrace the things, people, and places that reject you or turn you away, or that you reject and turn away, because you've used your discernment to say, you know what, this is not for me. I'm not for them, and it's okay. It's cool. I am going to find things that are cool, are good for me. When you tend to the nature of your soul, what it is a spiritual G-check. And when you check your spirit, it's very important to be tender and compassionate with yourself, and show yourself some empathy and empathy for others, and be compassionate, because it's owning up to our mistakes. It's owning up to our flaws, our misconceptions, things that we didn't know were wrong, but were wrong and are still wrong, and owning up to that. So when you G-check someone or something and it's not done right, people will see that as an attack. So think about it. When you G-check your spirit, when you're committing a spiritual G-check, you got to do it in a manner that is going to be right for you, where you're not going to feel attacked, where you're not going to feel like, I'm less than, I'm not worthy of. It's going to leave you in a shittier place than when you first started. That's not the case of a spiritual G-check. It's honestly to take space of what you've been doing, to tending to your soul. It's like, this land has been ill-used. This land is not fertile. This land is perfect for me, and this is what I will build on, essentially. And these things that we build our foundation on, they become the foundation of our personality, of our character, who we are. We got to think of whether or not they'll produce any yield, if they'll have crops, and if it's just a scorched earth. It's time to let that go and grow something new. That brings me to the Growth Garden. I like to introduce everyone to the Growth Garden. Now, the Growth Garden is a virtual space that I've built with the hopes of creating it into a physical space. The Growth Garden is essentially a digital virtual space for Black and brown owned businesses to flourish, to grow, to plant their seeds, and to flourish. The inception of the Growth Garden comes from, in the 1900s, I was reading that Black travelers had what they called a Green Book that was Black owned and Black used. Now, what the Green Book was a book of Black owned businesses and businesses that catered to Black people, where Black people knew, even in the age of Jim Crow, they would be welcome to shop here. They would be welcome to pick up supplies here. They would be tolerated. They would be embraced here. And if you're a person living in 2020, we don't really feel welcome in the spaces. So I decided to make our own space, right? Using the wisdom from the Green Book, I've created the modern Green Book, which is our Growth Garden. Now, the Growth Garden is a green garden where Black-owned, brown-owned businesses can come together, plant their seeds for their business, and we can all grow together. Where Black and brown-owned businesses can advertise and promote to you all, and all my listeners, hopefully and rightfully so, should invest in these Black and brown businesses so we can all grow. Because who has our back better than ourselves, honestly? Now, with the podcast just starting, this space is open to everyone, rightfully so. If you're a black or brown business owner, please reach out. We have sponsorships available, so that way we can grow this garden together and grow on our journey together. And ultimately, what the Growth Garden encaptures is the idea that if you want to go fast, you go alone. But if you want to go far, you go together. So let's go farther than our ancestors ever imagined. One last thing about the podcast. This is my first episode with the podcast, and I am a structured person, and I have spoken on a foundation, and I find it necessary to have fluidity with things, right? So this form is ever changing. Whether you're seeing me on an audio form, whether you're seeing me on the channel, I appreciate you either way, every way. This is only to say that it will grow and change and morph and form, and I will appreciate all of its beauty because this is what I wanted. This is what we wanted. So all in all, I will say that I am leaving room available for myself and for my podcast to grow and see where it takes me, because I do have a vision for where this is going to go, and I do plan on seeing it through to fruition. And with all that said, there is a part of you that's like, you know what, I don't know what's coming. I don't know how it will come. I don't know how it's gonna look, but these blessings are coming. So I'm just leaving some room for blessings, all right? And I hope to look back one day at like this very first recording and cringe and be like, oh, this is not, you know? But then from there, be able to recognize, yo, we have come a far way. All that to say, thank you so much, everyone. That about wraps up today's episode. Thank you guys for building a strong foundation with me. I'm so happy that you're here with me. You made it all the way through to the end. Please subscribe, rate, and review this podcast on whichever avenue. Give it a thumbs up. Subscribe and follow on all our social medias at All Growth Pod on Instagram and Twitter. And that's it for me, folks. In the meantime and in between time, until next time, keep growing, keep glowing, keep going.